Okay, this lecture continues 1.2 or 2.1, and what we're going to learn how to do is doing an evaluation of an algebraic expression. So right here you'll see the steps for doing this. The first thing that we're going to do to evaluate an algebraic expression is we're going to place parentheses wherever we see a variable. And if there are exponents, you'd put those outside the parentheses. Then we're going to carefully place each value, or if there are more than one, or just the single value, into the parentheses where appropriate, and then we're going to evaluate the resulting mathematical expression using order of operations. Now our problems here will be really simple basic mathematical expressions, and when we do say evaluate, the idea is that we are going to get a value for this expression. Now this is not what it equals, or it's not the solution to it. We want to be very careful just to say that it's the value that's represented by it, because as the variable changes, as we know that's what variables are supposed to do, then we're going to get different values for expressions. So here's our first and second examples here. I'm going to go over and I'm going to use my pad to do this. So our first example here says A is 5 minus x, and the value we're going to use for x is 4. Now to do these problems, I use a double-headed arrow like this because it's not equal to this except for under the circumstance when x is equal to 4. So I'm going to say 5 minus, and then this is where I'm going to put in my parentheses to represent the x, and then that x is equal to a 4, so I'm going to put a 4 in those values, and then I am going to use an equal sign because this truly does equal a value now, and this says 5 minus 4, and the value for that is 1, and then I'm going to box that because that is my answer. So that is the evaluation of 5 minus x when x is equal to 4. So we're going to do the multiplication one now. Our multiplication one says 3 times the value of x. So this says 3, and then I'm going to put in parentheses for whatever x is. Now x in this particular case is 4, so I'm going to put the 4 in there, and then I'm going to give the value for that. So 3 times 4, which is equal to 12. And so the 3 times 4 is equal to 12, and that's our value of 3x under these particular sets of instances. Now our next one, the division problem, the same thing here. My x is equal to some value divided by 2. And so I'm going to put that down, and then I'll put in my value of x equals 4 here, and now I'm going to actually get a true value. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and there's my value for that, and so I'll box it up to let everyone know that that's my value. And so that's how we evaluate an expression. Now, not only can we just have one variable, but we can sometimes always also have 2 variables, and maybe even more than that. So now here's an example that shows you an evaluation problem where we do have 2 variables and therefore 2 operators as well. So in this case we have 5 times the value of x, whatever that is, and at this point because I have multiples I'm going to go ahead and put in that 2, and then minus, and then whatever the value of z is, and so I'll put parentheses, and the z is the 3, so I'll put that in, and now I can go ahead, I can put this in. Now order of operations, remember, dictates that multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. So I'm going to multiply this one first. 5 times 2 is 10, and then minus 3, and 10 minus 3 is equal to 7, and so I'll write that down and I'll box it as my answer. So 5x minus c, the value of that expression when x equals 2 and z equals 3 is a 7, and that is how we evaluate. Our next task is going to be to translate.